Hello, and welcome to the Quantum Bridge with myself, Kasper, my cat that won't leave me alone, but that's quite nice, Phoebe, and as always, my co-host Gary. How are you, mate? You all right?
I'm all right, yeah. Lily's out, so I haven't got a cat. So catless
Yeah.
today. But otherwise, it's all good. And on that note, something else good, which is why I've called this video 1,000. We reached 1,000 subscribers in less than a
I
year.
mean, if I had those things that you pull and, or if I was any good at any of the editing, that would be happening now.
We should have done. We should have planned it a bit better. A cake, a party hat or something. Yeah, but it's the same old.
Yeah, it's just brilliant,
understated. But we do want to say thank you very much to everybody that has subscribed and supported the channel over the last 7-8 months. Is it now?
Yeah.
100 odd videos.
I know. Thank you to Steve in the background for doing all of that, and to our families for being supportive, and to anybody who's just watched. I don't subscribe to most of the stuff I watch, so how can I say to anybody else they should subscribe? But it really would help us and move the game on, help us to get more people on, because if they see that we have more subscribers, it seems that adds a little bit of traction, and we might get some guests that otherwise we wouldn't have. So thank you to those that have done it. It's really helped, and clicking over that 1,000 just looks better. It would be good if more people subscribed. It would just mean that probably we could bring more varied and sort of different types of content. That's all.
Yeah, and it helps the reach for the guests that we do have on, because as we always say, and we specialize, or a unique selling point is that we have the little guys on, and if we can give them a bigger platform as possible, it really helps.
Yeah, agreed. I think the key things that we're up against now is that the next step, if we can get ourselves up to sort of 4,000 or 5,000, maybe in the next 6 months, if that was feasible, it would just give us more profile, and it would mean that a lot of the people that we've tried to reach, who no doubt have either sent somebody to have a look at the channel or have looked themselves, that snapshot, without necessarily looking at what we do and how fantastic all the shows are, but that immediate snapshot might just be, oh, well, this isn't going to move the game on. But we know that actually the reach of this show and what it's been doing has moved the game on for many, many people, particularly those smaller voices that weren't heard, and that is the whole point of this. But if we have some of those more known voices too, just interspersed, then I think that would make a big difference.
Yeah, brilliant. Moving on, because I want to try and keep this show a little bit short. I know you've got something special for us today, mate.
Well, I wouldn't necessarily call it special, and I have touched on these books before, which I felt at the time were somewhat channeled. So they're from a series called Sevens Above. They were written around 2010, 2011. And I feel that they sort of dealt with, in a sort of graphic novel and fairly fun way, a lot of the things that certainly didn't feel fun over the last few years. So I hope they didn't create or on their own didn't create.
It's your fault, is it?
Yeah, because it could just be said that this was my fault.
Is there a good happy ending there or something?
Well, I haven't, in this world at least, I haven't finished this series. Obviously, the Benjamin Hope series is something that we have under the Other World Me tag, that if people are watching this video, they could click through and see that as a channel we like. That's something that I've been writing and will go on for quite a while. The other 5 books in this series, they will come out at some point in this world, but obviously in other worlds they're already bestsellers, and they've changed the universes and all that. But anyway, just very quickly touch on these. And the reason that I brought them up, even though we could put links in, and if people do want to buy them or engage with this material, they can. But it was more that when these were written, the sort of material that these books are about was considered not just fringe, but almost untouchable. And generally, even those who were into the more esoteric things and whatever would still think that this was quite far out. I recently reread the backs of these books and thought, hang on a minute, this is pretty tame stuff now, right? Because there has been, particularly for the sort of people who'll be viewing our stuff, a lot of what is talked about in these and alluded to and whatever, a lot of the storylines and the characters are things that now seem to be pretty mainstream and even permeating or coming across into the mainstream. So without further ado, I'm just going to read the backs of these. I might then do some readings from these books at some point and we can release them as shorts or whatever. But I'd even like your thoughts now on whether you think that these things are fairly mainstream and mundane now, or if this is still wacky and out there stuff. So I'll start with Sevens Above, Even Demons Cry, which was the first book in the series. And it says, Leeds, England, an overweight young misfit wanders the streets and alleyways, hoping for something unexpected to relieve the tedium of his humdrum life. Nothing in his limited experience could have possibly prepared him for the mind-bending manner in which this wish is about to be granted, or the whirlwind his life is about to become. Then it says, Shanghai, China. Control of the world's largest and most powerful secret society has now been seized by the ruthless Wen Fang. What possible connection could a super powerful Chinese overlord have with the portly outcast, soon to be renamed Goat Boy? All across the globe, mystery schools are becoming aware of the approach of a massive global event, one that will shake the foundations of mankind's beliefs so hard that there'll be no hiding place for anyone from the new reality. From fringe conspiracy theorists to the genuinely psychic, all share a palpable sense of crescendo. But the day of reckoning for evil has also arrived. It takes the form of a man known as Curvator, here to clean house at a planetary level before the jump happens, aided by his milkshake-swigging new sidekick. Whether it be the Order in Norway or the suburban demon worshippers at Shaded Grove Guest House, ours and many other worlds are about to be unceremoniously forced into a new alignment. In the meantime, the hit TV show Talent Finders will never be the same again. After all, it's not every day that a demi-demon auditions on live TV. Okay, so that was the first book in about 2010. I would say that a lot of that stuff has become in the public sort of mind, at least. I don't know. I'll move on to the other one, which is actually quite a bit shorter. But what do you think about that now, mate?
I mean, my first thing, I was wondering if the slightly overweight guy was me with his mundane life.
No, it's definitely me. Don't worry.
Yeah. I thought, hang on, this is about me. But yes, as you read on, it was interesting because you sort of think, well, you know, it could be now. Well, you know, we're seeing this stuff play out now. So I was thinking, well, let's just think when this was written. Again, like I say, you know, over 10 years ago. I mean, I suppose, do you still think that the event is talking about there is still to come, or how do you feel about that?
Yeah, I tend to think that that one feels to me like we are right on that cusp now. Maybe I and many people actually even then were feeling that sense of a tipping point or a crescendo or the shift or whatever you want to call that. But, you know, if you stand back from it, everything that's happening is happening hugely fast, or it feels it is. But when you're in the midst of it, we're all like, come on, when is all this stuff going to happen? It's weird, isn't it? Stuff that takes millennia or millions or billions of years to play out. And rightfully so, because so many things have to align on so many different levels. We're all like, well, hang on, it should have happened in the last 2 weeks.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, we're like, another 6 months, another week. Or, you forget how long these...
Another Friday when we're told to wait for Monday, you know.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, definitely. It's interesting again because I'm not going to get into this too deeply, but we're talking on, what is it, the 15th of November 2023, and there's again, lots of anticipation for this weekend. Going back to whether your books sound nuts or not, I mean, Musk is launching a rocket into the firmament and blowing it apart, and I don't know. So
yeah, are we finally going to see that it's been a screen above our heads and not a sky? You know,
so maybe we'll do a show next week and see if it's the same old week.
Or are we actually sucking in the ether and going to all live for 12 million years? So.
Yeah, that's if we.
I'll do the next one quickly.
Yeah, let's
as well.
let's go with that one. Yeah.
Curvator shrugged. So as introduced before, he's the guy that's meant to be here to clean house. Looks like he might be able to do it as well.
I mean, yeah. I mean, would he be a white hat looking like that? I don't know. I suppose it is a bit of mucky work. I don't know.
Yeah, it's somebody else's blood, you know. So.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'll just quickly do that, and then we can come to a close. So this is the continuation of the series. So it says worlds appear to have been changed forever by a mysterious jump in consciousness. A momentary void in the order of things has been created, and without hesitation, Moloch seizes the opportunity to instigate the end game for this earth, the demon agenda. Malevolent even forces gather in Norway and England, where truly fiendish plans, long in the making, are to be rolled out as Operation Telibita. The aim, enslavement of the masses and eternal power for those that resonate with the serpent energy. Can anything stand in the way of such methodically diabolical intent? Enter our unlikely chubby-cheeked hero, Goat Boy, aided by the hulking figure of Curvator, and the diminutive Master Guan, a most unlikely trio. However, to Wen Fang at least, these would-be guardians of our worlds are nothing more than vermin, to be hunted and immediately crushed, their souls making good eating to further swell his already super-powered being.
Right.
We've got a lot to look forward to.
Yeah, that's it. It does have a good ending. Was that a spoiler?
I know you keep on asking about this ending, but remember, we as a collective are writing this ending.
Yes.
Right? The internal work we do, and you know this more than many, is the way out of the matrix. You know, this tweaking the external has little, if no, effect.
Yeah.
But this work on detachment, all the things that you've done and are doing far more than I really, and I'm sure many of our viewers, and certainly a lot of the people who've come on as well.
Yeah.
This internal work. So maybe before we go, just we can touch on that again in a time where, again, I think we're all feeling that sense of we're approaching something that is going to be, I'll use the word interesting, right? It has many connotations to navigate. What would you say in terms of that sense and feeling and work on detachment and being the eye of the storm rather than being in the storm?
It's tricky. Yeah, like you say, no one can do that for you. So it has to come from inside that you want to do that for starters. You sort of, it's as, you know, I think as things trigger me or upset me or whatever, I feel I don't want to feel that way, which then triggers something else inside that, okay, well, how can I stop feeling that way and disengaging with things? And then once you step out of that, you can then see other people. They may be still looking at the TV, the politics. I mean, even in Awakened, they'll be like, you know, who do you want as PM, and all that. It's just like, wow, they're still looking for these guys to fix things, you know. And you do it slowly, step by step, I think. But maybe the bigger point is that where we started, that some of this stuff that you're saying is normal conversation now in certain fields, that has to have a knock-on effect. that everybody, whether any of us know what's actually going on or not, the conversation is there. Conversations that we wasn't talking about, dimensions and frequency and manifestation, all these things are just sort of, in certain circles, just everyday conversations. So I think that has to shift consciousness. And even if I don't know what the result of that will be, I just think I can see it in the process working out, I suppose.
Yeah. I think the other thing of it all being all right in the end, I mean, we all want it in some way, shape or form to all be all right in the end. I think that detachment means that it's all already all right now. And if it can be all right now when things are in such a tumult, so much going on, so much that feels outside our control, then we've already answered that question. That it is all right in the end.
Or goes back to our video of it is what it is.
It is what it is, yeah.
And it's all good.
I noticed how when I was doing the reading from the books, the cat left me and now he's back. So we do have one critic already in our midst.
Those might have been, I've heard all this before.
Yeah, well, he might have been saying, I wrote that.
Yeah, that's it.
Why are you taking any sort of credit? Well, I'm not, by the way. And I do definitely, I am of the more than just belief, actually, but the belief that any of these things that are now coming out through us into the universe, and any authors and any makers of music and artists and so on, that this is nothing can be claimed by an individual anymore. And I do think that there is that sense that anything that is flowing out is just part of the play and part of the film, or whatever you want to call it, the movie, good or bad. So we can't be held too accountable for the bad anymore, but of course we can't bask in the glory of the good, because none of it is ours.
It does feel that everyone is doing their role, and it's playing out as to plan.
Yeah.
We'll see where
okay, I want to finish from my perspective by just saying again, thank you for anybody who's tuned in. Thank you for anybody that's still here. If you are, we will put the links to the books, and I'll do some more stuff from the books at some point as well, but in the description. But obviously, beyond anything else, thank you for watching. Thank you to those that have subscribed, but thank you to those that haven't, that have just engaged as well. If you'd like to do that, it would help us. But it's by no means something that we're begging for or asking for. We're just glad that we've got to this point, and that so many voices that wouldn't have been heard, at least now or so quickly, have received a platform.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, on that point, we've got some other stuff. We just put another one in the Shungite series out. They did talk about pyramids. We have a few other guests to follow. We've got another one, a longer video from Franco to come out. And Jane, I believe these would be good for Christmas time, little treats. We also have Valerie, who's known as the Travelling Sign on X, and we've another guest from there called Courtney. So I think they'll be out over the next couple of weeks. So
yeah, and just to say again, so the Shungite people, all sorts of healing work, jewelry, all sorts of things with Shungite. All of these guys that we're sort of touching on, bringing on again, on whatever, they all have their own part of this to play, and it's really nice that we've got such a wide and disparate mix of stuff. So if you look through what we have, or our playlists and whatever, there may be 2 or 3 things that really you want to engage with. There may be 90% that's not for you, but I do think now we have pretty much something for quote unquote everybody.
It's a good point that there are playlists if people want to have a look at those, because it does help break down, because the range of topics that we cover is so vast. So we do sort of, if you're not interested in the finance stuff, you don't have to, you can look at the sort of mind, body, spirit, just all those videos. Or if you are interested in the finance, they do have their own categories and things. So we try to make it a little bit easier to navigate where we can.
Yeah, because we do appreciate that if somebody said, what exactly are you guys, other than really our strap line, which is pretty broad, we are about bringing anything to the table that is coming from the heart and what we see as a good place. We won't get that right all the time, and even what we say, you know, it won't be right all the time. But we definitely and legitimately try to provide the sort of content that we're not seeing anywhere else.
Yeah. And like you said, bringing those little voices on that otherwise just wouldn't have been heard. It's, I feel really good about it that we can do that.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay. Well, for now, until some more uploads, which are, as you've just pointed out, upcoming, I think it's enough from us. And thank you very much, everybody.
I'll see you soon.
See you, mate. Take care.